Namaste. Namaste and welcome to this short video practice, which is essentially also for the sacroiliac joint, like last week's short practice, but this time we're going to move the body in a different way. So last week we practiced over a ball and a block in more of an open back bend, an extension of the spine. And this week we're going to practice more in a flexion or forward bend of the spine position. These also happen to be some of my favorite stretches for passively opening the back of the body. So without any further ado, you can do these absolutely cold if that's good for you, or perhaps do a few cat-cow downward facing dogs first. But you need to set up your mat near a door frame, or I've got this handy archway in our room that I can use here. But you need to be able to lengthen one leg and use the support for the other. So I shall lie down and show. I'm only going to demonstrate this on one side because it's harder to angle the camera to do the other side. But sitting yourself right up against your door frame or gap in the wall if you've got one like me, and then putting the leg closest to the wall up onto that support, and you can actually even support right down to the buttock against the wall there, and lengthening your other leg away from you if that feels comfortable. So you can keep that knee bent, you can keep your lengthened leg above you bent as well at the knee if that feels like it's the right thing for you to do. If you're able to, after a few minutes here, you can even give your hamstrings at the back of the thigh that's raised a little bit of a massage. You might find that you can lengthen slowly or pulse that knee slowly a little straighter to the point where you can then get into your lengthened position, whatever that is for you. When you're in your most lengthened position, then that is the time to extend your opposite leg, because this will increase that sensation of length down both legs, particularly the one that is lifted and in the more stretched position. So it's good to not do that until you're quite settled into that length. And remember, you can always bend that leg that's along the floor back in again if it feels like that would be a useful supportive thing to do. So here, the other thing that you can do is you can gently point the toes and then gently flex the heels. You don't have to do that. That's really slow and steady pointing and flexing you can do it with both legs if it helps. Some people perform better when both feet are doing the same thing, but it could just be with the leg that's raised over the head. So just a few of these, if that feels good. So if it feels sharp or tight or uncomfortable on the back of the leg, then that's not a great thing, then don't do that. But this is called nerve flossing, and what it does is it helps the nerves that run through the back of the body, which can sometimes be the thing that stops us from doing as much flexible work with the back of the body as we are able. It helps them to release a little bit, to get used to this sensation of length, and particularly in that heel extended, leg pressed towards the support version. And then once you've settled in position, you've done perhaps a little bit of nerve flossing, not too much, and finding your way. Maybe it's not the right thing for you to do. If you're super tight, it might not be helpful. But then settling in your position, that might mean the supporting leg is bent with the knee on the floor. It might mean that that leg is extended. You can do whatever you like with your arms here. So I quite like to rest my arms over my head because my elbows and wrists can find the floor there, as well as my shoulders. But you might prefer to have your arms there by your side or out to the sides. I don't want to interfere with my meditating person here, so over the head is working for me today. And really, you're aiming to spend 5 minutes here. So 5 minutes in this position with the hips supported. The back of the knee, as I say, can be as bent as you like, and you can soften it off if it becomes a little bit too intense, or you can build up to holding for 5 minutes by working gently over time to increase your benefit from this practice. And then when you're ready to release out, you simply bend that knee towards you and the other one too. Oh, I say, hug them in and just roll to one side and come up into, oh, you might choose to spend some more time lying on the floor and just sort of wiggling yourself around, which is fine. And do be sure to do the other side as well. So as I say, it's more difficult for me to demonstrate that here in this space because I can't actually stretch my leg on the other side of that wall. There's a cabinet there. So I'm going to show you a second practice, but do be sure to do that first one to both sides. So in my second practice, I need a bigger piece of wall, and I've set up my second mat here. I want to get quite close to the wall again. So to do that, come to one edge of your mat, get your body as close to the wall as you can. Maybe you've even got to move your shoulder away, and then you release your torso down as your legs go up. You can do it much more gracefully than that, I'm sure. And then try and get your buttocks towards the wall as much as feels comfortable. If you've done the previous practice, you are likely to be able to get as close to the wall as you ever can after that practice, at this current time anyway, for whatever your body's doing today. And then here, we're going to practice with the legs open. So you can begin with a little bit of feet together and knees open, and give the knees a little sway from side to side. It's useful if you, I'm not really pushing on my knees here, but if you were going to push at the thighs, and it's a gentle push. Or you might like to place your feet on the wall and just sway the knees from side to side. Again, swaying across the soles of the feet as well, so the feet turn. And that's quite nice and nurturing for the hips as well. A bit of inward and outward rotation, medial and lateral if you're into your kinesiology. And then we've got an opportunity, having warmed up that area of the hips, we can begin to lengthen the legs and take the feet apart. And exploring here where is right for you. So we want the upper body to be nice and relaxed. We don't want to create tension to lift the shoulders away from the floor. So on the upper body, nice and relaxed, perhaps the arms out to the side. And you can spend a few breaths at each stage, just finding your way. Once you become more practiced, you can come into wherever feels like the right place for you at this moment, and just check when you get there. When you get there and your heels are supported on the wall, are the legs feeling a little heavy for the groin and the pelvis? Do you need to bring your feet a touch closer together, or have you got a little bit more room to move? Can you take your feet a little bit further apart? We're easing our way because we want to avoid injury, but also tension. So if we take our feet so far apart, which is about there for me, that I can feel the real strain across the knees, the inner thighs, and into the groin, then all my body's going to do is tense to hold me there, which means that I can't find space and length. So if I come back a little bit, I'm more likely to be able to find that sense of length. And again, I can do a little bit of pointing and flexing, or I like to circle the ankles here, soften the knees off, one and then the other, and go the opposite way as well. A little bit of wriggling. Wriggling and wiggling is also always good. And swaying the feet in and out as well. So you get that the muscles of the thighs particularly are wrapped around the bones of the thighs, so they don't go just up and down. So by rolling in and out, we get to touch parts of those muscles with our length that we don't normally get to touch. And when you've hung out for a little bit, really letting the heels be heavy into the wall, the pelvis heavy into the floor, the shoulders heavy into the floor, the back of the head as well, then you might find that you've got a little bit more room and you can widen the feet a touch further. But we're not pushing or forcing. And it's a slow progression. This is part of the long-term preparation of the body for some of our yoga practice. And it helps to do those deeper breaths, really letting go of tension. When your breath is moving easily in and out and your body is heavy and softened, that's when you find space to be able to move into a little bit of a more open position. And that takes a few moments of practice. And it might be that you come to the wall and you don't find any more space on a day, or you might find that you do indeed get a little bit more space, just operating with whatever the circumstances are on the day that you're practicing. When you're finished, softening the knees a touch, helping the legs towards each other. You can do that one at a time if you like. And we do that helping so that those muscles that we've just lengthened don't immediately have to shorten, that we support the body back together. And then the knees can come into the chest. I like to give myself a little bit of room from the wall at this point so I can stir the knees in, just ease out any tension. I don't have any tension, which is great. But it's always nice to counterpose, to move the body in the opposite way. And when you're ready, coming up to sitting. And you might find that as a result of doing this practice where we've lengthened particularly the posterior chain and the inner thighs, you might find that suddenly sitting cross-legged is much more comfortable because it opens up spaces in the body that are very useful for just that practice. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please remember to go gently and slowly. Long-term preparation of the body. It's not a race. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, like and subscribe, and I'll see you again. Namaste.